Advertising was born on radio. It's a huge part of the history of advertising. And because of technology, because of the devices in our homes that we talk to now, it's becoming vastly more important for creative agencies to catch up. Before the age of the internet, there weren't any advertising agencies out there with audio capabilities. Clients didn't have the ability to create audio assets. We're educating our clients and educating the agencies and their partners to understand how to use audio in a better way. We're hopefully helping those creative agencies realize the importance of audio and why they need to focus on it, not just as a media channel, but as a primary way of moving hearts and minds of listeners and audiences.
Today on the Sound of Marketing podcast, I have the pleasure of talking to Roger Gehrmann from Pandora. Roger, thanks so much for joining me.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
I just kind of wanted you to start off telling us what you do at Pandora. What's your function at Pandora?
My title is Group Creative Director. I lead a creative team that we call ourselves Studio Resonate. About a year ago, we rebranded and relaunched ourselves as Studio Resonate. We kind of changed the focus of what we do. So we're a team of about 50 creatives of all kinds of backgrounds, everything from audio engineers, musicians, designers, copywriters, theater production people, event people, project managers. I'm sure I'm missing lots, but all kinds of creative folks. And the team was originally set up way back as the first digital audio advertising production team in the world. If you may recall, Pandora was technically the first music streaming platform all the way back. And when they decided to switch on the advertising function, a peculiar thing that they realized was there weren't any advertising agencies out there with audio capabilities, because as you probably know, if you don't know, before the age of the internet, basically the way advertising production worked was if it was television, a lot of the production would be done at the television network. If it was radio, you would get the radio DJ available that day to record your spot. It was all produced by the radio station. Now that we live in a day and age where clients can build their own creative, or the agency can build their own creative, it seems kind of silly because we have all kinds of different formats that we can build to. But at the time when Pandora launched, they needed to build out their own audio production team because clients didn't have the ability to create audio assets. With this brand new ad format of digital audio, we put together a small team to produce audio spots, and that grew over time to today. When we looked at the numbers last year, we had produced somewhere around 600 to 700,000 audio spots since we were counting. And I think the number's actually much higher than that, but that's the ones that we actually had numbers for. And as you know, we're a data company, so we have all kinds of interesting data on all of those spots that we put together. So we have interesting things on what kind of voices resonate with what kind of audiences, what drives them to have an emotional reaction, what drives them to have immediate reaction, to tap on a screen, to purchase something, that kind of thing. What we decided to do last year was we realized that armed with all this information, we were making a lot of recommendations, and we weren't really functioning as just a production team anymore. We were really functioning something more like an agency, but an agency that really focuses on audio, and not just from an audio production quality perspective, but from a psychological perspective. How does audio affect us on a psychological level? How do we move hearts and minds with audio? And since I believe that we're in this place right now, I think we're in a bit of an audio renaissance. I think the medium and the format of audio is regaining its place in our psyche and through our consumption habits, that I think that it was important for us to rebrand ourselves as a creative consultancy, because I think what a lot of the work that we realized we needed to do, it wasn't just about creating great spots, but it was about educating our clients and educating the agencies and their partners to understand how to use audio in a better way. And that's my passion, and that's the reason I decided that we needed to change the focus of the team from an advertising production team to a creative consultancy.
The important thing for people that are listening to realize is that you can start up a production company and produce tons of stuff. But if your clients don't fully understand how to message through that outlet, through that platform, you're going to look bad. The production company is going to look bad because if they're doing it all themselves, it's going to be off of the old format, off of the broadcast commercial standards, which do not work for streaming and for online digital platforms. So it makes complete sense that you guys switched from production to an agency because you guys have the insight and you have the analytics, but you also have, as you spoke earlier, you have a hodgepodge of people working for you that understand the nuances in very different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the interesting things that we've noticed and kind of struggled with sometimes is when we'd have, a great idea for a campaign for a client that would be an audio-based campaign, and we'd pitch it to them and they'll think it's great, and then they'll decide that they want to work with their, agency of record to build that out. They'll often go to their agency and their agency will be like, hey, that's a cool idea. We don't really do audio. Or they'll just want to send it out to their music production house that they work with, who are great at doing jingles, but that's what they focus on. One of the things I think that's happened over the past 50 or so years is that advertising agencies basically became film production houses or TV production houses. That's what they work on. If you look at all the most awarded creative agencies in the world, they make great short films. That is the language that they understand. And I think it's kind of ironic because advertising was born on radio. It's a huge part of the history of advertising. And it feels like along the way, we lost that skill a lot. And because of technology, because of the devices in our homes that we talk to now, it's becoming vastly more important. And it's important for creative agencies to catch up. So that's what we're doing. We're hopefully helping those creative agencies realize the importance of audio and why they need to focus on it, not just as a media channel, but is as a primary way of moving hearts and minds of listeners and audiences.
And I've been finding that too. I've been approached in certain agencies. They just want to be educated. They don't get it. And so, they want to understand, but yeah, they're not there. They don't know how it works. And it did get into the whole kind of documentary short film style, which is a great way to communicate. And I really like where video production has gone, but yeah, it's one form of interpretation, I guess. And it doesn't translate onto streaming.
I'm guilty of it as well. Like I went to art school. I studied film. I wanted to be a film director. Unfortunately, there's barely a film industry in Australia where I'm from. So I ended up in advertising. Like it was something that I was definitely passionate about. But it's interesting. Like one of my favorite subjects back in college was actually the audio production and music class. But at the time, I never thought it would have any impact on my future as a career. Like I enjoyed learning Pro Tools because I wanted to remix the Matrix soundtrack because that's super cool at the time. And, it was just kind of like, a geeky thing to learn. Like I liked learning software and software packages and mucking around with stuff like that. My whole career I've spent in advertising agencies, usually making TV ads, but now I've come back to doing audio, and I really think this is the most exciting place to be right now. When you think about, short film type work is great for YouTube pre-rolls, and it's, there's plenty of formats for television style ads to still run. But if you think about like people's consumption habits, and especially like I know like TV's, Netflix and streaming video is way up at the moment. But when you think about how we're going to move into the future, how we're going to start interacting with products, with brands, there's already this whole new space of having to interact with a product, service, or brand without a screen. Like, you really think we're going to be using different banking apps for each different bank just to be able to transfer money from one place to another in a couple of years' time? Like, I highly doubt it. Everything's going to start moving to a screenless situation. You'll be able to tell Alexa or your Google Assistant to do something for you, and it will just happen, which is great. But where's... Did you hear that?
I
Alexa
did.
just responded to me.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, good thing that my Alexa's out there.
Wait,
Alexa
fun.
responded to an Alexa ad when we were watching something on the projector last
You
night. That
know,
was
we
pretty funny.
get requests from clients like that all the time. Like they always want to do the whole like
Uh-huh.
trigger the voice assistant to do something funny to subvert, because that's exciting now, right? It's exciting
Right.
to play with the smart speakers. Total tangent. I have a 3-year-old. Take a guess what my son's first word was.
Alexa? Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
And it was like way, like it was a long time before he got to mama and papa. It was like,
Oh
I think the
no.
third word was like Optimus Prime, which is, but first word was Alexa. And creepy too, because even with the baby voice, it still responded, right?
Right.
The light came up and I was just like, this is amazing and terrifying at the same time. But you know, brands need to be able to represent themselves in a screenless environment. Brands like MasterCard, who have really forward thinking, and they really realize that like the future of their product isn't even physical. You're not going to have a plastic card in the future, but that payment network is still going to be there. And they were smart enough to be able to realize the value of a sonic identity. Every time you tap your phone to pay with a MasterCard, it's going to make that sound, which is, it's so valuable. And, you know,
And they
we're not there.
embraced it. They totally
Yeah,
full on
absolutely.
embraced it.
And it's going to be a long time before every single point of sale system in the world is going to be able to do that. Like it's a huge, ambitious undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time we get there, they would have played that sound to everyone so many times that you will have recognized it. Like I can't stress enough, like the time is now for brands to go out and stake their claim in the sonic space. Because otherwise it's going to take a long time to catch up. And catching up, I think, in audio is going to be harder than it is with other mediums. There's a lot more restrictions around what you can and can't do with audio, and you have that benefit if you start early of time. You know, if you think about things like the Intel dun 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 sound that everyone recognizes, is like everyone recognizes it because they've heard it 100,000 times in their life.
Any of the insurance companies
Oh,
nationwide?
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nationwide is a good one, isn't it? But of the one we play Sonic Bingo in a lot of our presentations, where we play different Sonic identities and we get people to call out if they recognize
Fun.
it.
Oh,
So
I
it's
like that.
really fun. It's really fun. And then the trick one in there is I put up the logo for farmers, and but I
Mm.
don't play the sound. And then I go, this one I'm going to get you guys to sing, and without fail, there's always someone in the room that can sing it. There's one time I had 150 people in the room and they sang it in unison.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, this, like, it's amazing. It's insurance. It's insurance.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The Geico duck.
Yes.
It's not even tonal really. It's just a voice.
Yep.
And I was just thinking about this the other day, was like, as long as they put that duck in the commercial and it says
Affleck.
Aflac, that commercial can be anything. That
Yeah.
commercial could be serious, it could be silly, it's mostly silly, but like anything. And it doesn't even have to do with their brand. You hear it and you know what it is, and that's all that you need.
It's a powerful, powerful thing. I think the sonic identity space is starting to heat up now, because I think brands are starting to catch on to the fact that this is something they should be taking more seriously. But it's just interesting that we've got these, especially those insurance brands, that are basing this stuff on legacy stuff that they've had before. If you have a brand that had a jingle in the past that they've run on radio before, they've run on television before, it's like you've got this amazingly valuable asset, and the stock of that asset just went up, and you know you've got this opportunity to bring it back or revive it or revitalize it. I mean, some brands have decided to kill it and start fresh, but like, you know, if you've got even like a remix or like a fresher version of an old sonic identity that your brand may have had, is you know, it's so valuable. On the Sonic Bingo thing, well, the first one that we play the NBC chime.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing to talk about with the NBC chime is that like that was never intended to be a sonic identity. It's like a sonic identity by accident. Like that literally was a physical chime that they used to ring on the radio just to let them know that there was a news broadcast about to happen. You know the story about that's a 3-note chime, but you know there's a 4-note version?
Oh, really? No, I
Yeah,
didn't
there's
know
a
that.
4-note version that they only used to do during the war. And it was a secret message to let the local broadcasters know that there was some new news coming in from the front line.
Wow, that's
Isn't that cool?
cool.
Isn't
Oh,
that cool?
I love learning things like that. Thank you. There was something that I saw, I think Pandora posted it, but it was talking about Hasbro and how they're working on playlists for their board games.
Yes.
First off, awesome. This is like ultimate timing to do something like this. How are they going about this? Is it just like you can go on to Pandora and there's a playlist for them? Or because the thought that popped into my head was, how can they utilize this on smart speakers and say, Alexa, I'm going to play this game, and then the playlist pops up. I'm just curious how they're utilizing this.
Well, you can. So if you already have Pandora on your smart speaker, which actually is a huge percentage of listeners, I think Pandora is still the number one music service on Google devices and probably number two on Alexa devices, because obviously Amazon prioritizes their own one.
Sure, they'd be stupid not to. Yeah.
if you call out the name of the station to play on Pandora, it will automatically play it. So in the case of, if you wanted to play, for example, the Risk soundtrack, actually, I think it has to be the official playlist to, let me double check that for you, but I think it's like the official soundtrack to Risk on Pandora, and it will play it. So it will work automatically with your smart speaker as long as you have Pandora set up on that smart speaker. But it's a great one. It's actually not really an unusual execution for us. So like that project, I think it was just very timely. But that is one of our sponsored stations product. So we do these all the time. We have existing playlists and stations that brands can sponsor, or we can create custom stations for brands to create essentially a soundtrack to their brand that anyone can play. A notable one that we've done in the past, we did something for Huggies where they wanted to have music that for little kids, babies to dance to. That was really, really successful because, one of the things that you, as a parent, you would know, but that you realize is the kind of music that you like listening to isn't necessarily the kind of music that is appropriate for your children all the time. That was a big learning for me, that like, oh, wow, 90s gangster rap isn't really great for little children. So you go through this phase where parents start really listening to different type of music. It's actually one of the ways that Pandora actually targets parents. We actually know if someone is a parent based on their music listening habits. Obviously, we have some logged in data from the listener already, but the moment that someone changes their music habits from their regular stations and suddenly adds in something that looks remotely like music for children, we know there's now a child in that house, or they are now a parent. So then, that opens us up with different advertising targeting capabilities as well. But yeah, so, with the one for Hasbro, it was great because, there's a lot of time spent at home right now. Toys and games are actually doing very well at the moment, given the situation, because that's how everyone's passing the time at home. And this idea came up based on that insight to do soundtracks to board games, which I think it's a great fit, and it's so easy.
Sound marketing doesn't have to be complicated. Sound is and can be subtle. With just a little bit of foresight, your brand could explore a space that is just waiting to be better understood. And you've got help. People like Roger's team at Pandora's Studio Resonant, for example. For more of the Sound and Marketing podcast, don't forget to follow, subscribe, rate, and share. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Stitcher. For inquiries on producing and developing your own podcast, or for inquiries on sonic branding and sonic branding consultation availabilities, you can find me at Dreamr Productions. That's DREAMR Productions.com, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You can also email me at Jeanna, JEANNA, at dreamrproductions.com. All links will be provided in the show notes. This episode was produced by Dreamr Productions and hosted, written, and edited by me, Jeanna Isham. We all make sounds. Let's make them on purpose. Let's make this world of sound more intriguing, more unique, and more on brand.